Alrighty. Well, here we go, man. We're gonna be getting into Deathstar versus Bullet, going right back to map number 1, Polaris Rhapsody. God, I hate this map so much. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's just so weird.
It's every game, every series first game. A little
Scuzzy.
Scuzz hops in. See ya.
Alrighty. Well, as playing tonight, easy rule. Let me go ahead and give you a rundown of the people that we have left to cast so far in tonight's lineup here. So we just finished Ali versus Vigamax, aka Sigru, and we still have Deathstar versus Bullet, Stardust versus the famous Shazzy. We have, of course, Foxhan, aka Han, versus Phasix. So some pretty well-known community members out here playing tonight, as well as a couple of folks that we're just getting to meet first time here. We're going to be going into Deathstar versus Bullet. Let me pull up the game one more time, BossRoss. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Be up now.
Bounced on me there. Rude.
I know, but you know, they asked. Easy Rule 420 was asking, so yeah, no problem, man. Let's go ahead and get on into it. Game number 1, Polaris Rhapsody. Here we go. Can you guys hear me drinking my water, by the way, on my mic? I'm curious. I'm doing the production here in my pants, not wearing a shirt, like doing this like lazy Thursday after work now. So
You actually have pants on?
I do, of course. Gotta wear those cutoffs, those jean cutoffs, man. I'm a never nude. Kappa. Alrighty, man. Well, in the top left-hand corner, spawning as the yellow Terran, we have Deathstar.
At the bottom right, we have the white, also Terran, magicbullet. It's gonna be a tier 3 TVT, and this should be exciting.
Oh man. Anytime you say tier 3 TVT, you know it's gonna be a crazy game. Because TVT is that like grindy, hyper defensive matchup in this game where it just anything can really happen. Like all of a sudden someone could go into BCs or Wraiths, just wipe out their opponent because they have so much money in the bank and like there's turrets all over the map. Very often that doesn't even win you the game. This is such a funky matchup, and I think for tier 3 players especially can be an extremely confusing one.
It really is, and it's hard to prepare for because it's like you said, it's a completely different kind of matchup. It's not like playing normal StarCraft at all. There's not really attacks that you make. It's more about positioning. You have to cut off slices of the map for yourself to take for resources. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the lower level players handle this.
Ooh, almost forgot to turn off the replay progress there. I usually have something cover it, but that time in the last series was kind of frustrating because you had a drop that coming up there. And Sean with the host, man. Thank you so much, Urban. Really appreciate the host, man. And if you're coming straight from Urban's stream, this is the CPL, the Coach Pupil League. It's a community league for new players to get coached by veteran players and get put on a team, and they compete against other teams. So very cool event. If you haven't played Brood War before, or you're looking to get back into it, I highly recommend checking it out on Team Liquid and joining the Discord and getting involved, man. Very cool event.
Oh, look at that. Both players' gas finishing at exactly the same time.
Oh, it's always interesting when when you see T3 players actually like playing like similar builds to each other. Because I often, I guess I'm underestimating our T3 players a little bit here. Not giving them the benefit of the doubt. But I just assume that their builds are going to be off pretty quickly, just because they're tier 3 players. But it looks like both of our tier 3 players playing almost exactly the same build here. We're off by like 2 gas mines. Or no, 1 gas mine.
Yeah, like a half of a one.
Oh, but you know what we are off by? It looks like Deathstar has now pulled off of his gas and only leaving a single one in, whilst Magic Bullet leaving 2 SCVs in the gas. So I'm not sure. What's the? I honestly, I'm not familiar with the nuances of gas mining in TVT specifically. Does that indicate anything, or is that just a mistake from one of our?
In TVT and TVP, the idea of taking what you do is you mine exactly 100 gas, and you take 2 SCVs off and put it back on minerals. And that's because the factory costs 100 gas, so you can slap that down, and you want the extra minerals so you can make a command center. So it's a 1 factory fast expand.
Alrighty, so it is a little bit of a mistake then for Magic Bullet to leave that additional SCV on there.
Yeah, not really sure what having 2 would do for you. If you left all 3 of them in there, it's indicative of going to factory. So instead of putting down a command center early, you could put down a second factory and you could bump vultures.
I gotcha. And yeah, we do see that with a large gas buildup in Magic's bank now. At 200 gas with nothing to do with it yet. It does seem kind of like a little bit of waste of a mining time. This is again tier 3 though, so very often we don't see those little optimizations come into play too much in the as far as the result of the game.
It's interesting. Magic Bullet's command center was down earlier though, and his machine shop actually finished first.
Alrighty, so we already have a little bit of aggression here coming out of Magic Bullet, or I mean out of Deathstar rather, and some very nice Marine micro. Getting him a very small advantage in this little Marine war that we have going on here. So this is actually kind of great. The SCV that was building the command center is now getting delayed. We might be even able to cancel, oh, I was going to say cancel the construction of this bunker, but I guess not. Even still though, this bunker really needs to get a Marine. I don't know if that Marine can even get down there. No? Okay, well, Vulture coming out here now.
Down there, but the Vulture's going to clean up these Marines. Vultures destroy Marines.
Oh yeah, very strong. They two-shot him, and they also are very easily able to out-micro them. But this is, I think, a very nice little attack here. You sacrifice that, you get your Marine kills, which kind of pays for it, and then you delay this command center quite significantly. There's a good number of SCVs that aren't going to get produced out of this command center. And, man, what was that?
Yeah, it's actually fine because Marines are completely useless after the first couple of minutes. And even though his command center was started after, Deathstar's is finished first, and he's already mining from that. He does send a tank all the way across the map. I'm not sure what that's going to be for. But,
yeah, this is kind of interesting. Siege mode is still, like, not finished up in the slightest here. We still have about 50% more to go, but I mean, he is getting 2 Vultures for this one tank here. If he just runs away, I mean, that's not a bad pickup.
Yeah, tanks destroy Vultures. The whole idea of Vultures is to be able to get the tanks with mines, but he's actually upgrading Siege mode instead.
Oh my gosh, this tank is in the range of this bunker. This is kind of a mistake here. Well, I mean, this has been
this tank is just annihilating everything.
This is like, wow, the one tank aggression you did not believe, but it got a whole bunch done here. I mean, an SCV kill, 3 Vultures, and now it's just gonna go home and get repaired? Not bad, man.
Hopefully gets repaired.
Yeah, I hope so too. You gotta assume when you got this low an amount of tanks, so it's gonna be like the first thing on your it's back home.
And interesting, neither player yet going for any of the other upgrades from the machine shop. No Vulture upgrades. Speed and mines, they can be pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's actually, I would say, a pretty big mistake here. Especially mines make push come across the map much slower. It also allows you to trade minerals for gas units, because very often you'll find yourself spending all your gas on tanks and then just producing Vultures as the supporting unit to both tank damage and put those mines down. But you can get really aggressive with your positioning and drop a whole bunch of mines on a nice clump of tanks and get a bunch of kills for it.
Yeah, and Vultures are extremely quick too. Like, if your siege tank army is out of position and you can get a run by, they can kill a ton of SCVs and lay mines on the production facilities as well.
Yeah, I mean, they do 3-shot SCVs, so it takes a little bit longer than killing probes or drones sometimes. But I mean, you're still burned through that worker count extremely quickly. And not only do they provide a mobile harassing force, but they also do a great job scouting, see what's going on with your opponent. You know, like, mines are especially important in this matchup. Basically you can give yourself like drop defense and all kinds of stuff like that, just by positioning mines in places where you might think that things are coming.
Well, it looks like Magic Bullet did end up getting mines, and he's actually getting speed as well.
Yeah,
so I do enjoy that.
70% complete for Deathstar here. Alrighty, time to... Whoa!
Oh boy!
Speaking of mines, oh man. You gotta be very, very careful when advancing your armies. This is exactly what I was talking about, though. Mine's extremely potent on the defense here. The Terran army, once it gets large enough, can typically just attack move through main fields because they are all, or not all of them, but the tanks are hit scan units, so they just pop the mines as soon as they pop up. But
yeah, the Goliaths are the big ones.
Yeah.
They shoot so quickly that as soon as mines come up, they just erase them.
Still though, man, it gets pretty dangerous when you got a ton of mines in a very small area. Because if like 3 or 4 mines pop up all at the same time, you can get a couple of mine drags, which can kill a number of tanks. And that's essentially 3 tanks for you.
They certainly can. They certainly can. It's always dangerous.
Alrighty, well, Deathstar now bringing over a barracks here to provide vision for his tanks. I'm very afraid for Magic Bullet at this point. Magic Bullet's macro has just not been stellar. The SCV count is just too low here, and he hasn't been able to build up a big enough economy to be able to constantly produce tanks. And now that there's a bunch of tanks outside his front door, I don't really know how much more Magic Bullet is going to be able to weather this storm.
Oh, and it's going to lose a tank for free there. That's kind of a bummer. And very smartly, Deathstar behind this contain is expanding immediately. That's exactly what you do when you set up contain like this.
Oh yeah, immediately Deathstar is going to be at a massive economic advantage here. This Wraith is not going to be able to do very much on its own, unfortunately. Wraiths do just ridiculously low amount of damage here to the ground units. 8 damage a shot, and when you have 150 HP, it takes forever.
It's even kind of wasting its cloak here. It's not even necessary.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's cloaking right now, but it's alright. I mean, there were a bunch of skins that were used by Deathstar earlier here. I would have liked to see these guys kind of save their energy for when these 2 Goliaths come down here and start to poke at them. Because now
they're here and
Goliaths
he's out.
Just arriving. Yep. And now they're coming right back out of cloak, so you gotta back up. And this is pretty much an indomitable contain at this point. Deathstar just with superior production, superior economy, superior map control, map presence, positioning. The only thing right now that Magic Bullet's got from going is this Wraiths count starting to build up a little bit, but even then you need to be having like 2 or 3 starports for this number of Wraiths to be able to deal with a significant number of Goliaths coming out of the back. So.
Yeah, it's not even gonna matter. There's already multiple turrets, multiple Goliaths. I mean, he's got a beautiful ring going on right now around this entire base.
No.
I mean, even 1 Goliath can kill, you know, like 3 Wraiths on its own. Oh, fix the rallies.
Yeah, this is pretty rough here. At this point, I feel like, as a matter of fact, this engineering bay is probably limiting Magic Bullet's ability to get a decent tank line going here. Because this is just space that you can't put tanks now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And let's take a look at the main base for Deathstar real quick. It looks like we have 3 factories with a 4th on the way. Plus we have a starport coming down now. Oh, sorry, 5 facts. I don't know how I missed that. It's weird. You have starport on the way now. What would you be using the starport for at this point in the game? You think you're looking to start drops?
Yeah.
The one thing I'm a little worried about for drops is the Wraiths. Because Wraiths do shred through dropships extremely quickly. But even
you have to use your scanners. You use your scanners smartly to find out where the Wraiths are. And wherever the Wraiths are not is where you drop. Because otherwise, TVT is just kind of a grind fest. Like, you know, I mean, realistically, Magic Bullet could not quit and stick this out for a very long time. It's hard to break tank lines.
This is cute, though. Look at this. Deathstar even setting a ring of turrets up here in these areas where he can't cover the ground, or he can't cover the air with Goliaths. Doesn't have vision, so that way if any kind of drop or Wraith pressure tries to come out, it's just destroyed. And there we go. We saw an initial Wraith already getting screwed here. This is really adorable little contain, dude.
Didn't make it very far. Yeah, the turrets on the sides. This is very smart. I definitely advocate for this because the last thing you want is for units to get outside of the space and on the map. You want him only here, and you know you're going to win the game without question. I'd like to see him even make even more CCs. Now, he did get a couple of Wraiths inside the main base, but I mean, what are 3 rays gonna do?
Captain Caps Lock. Yeah.
Not gonna do much.
Alrighty, well, I mean, what do you do here as Magic Bullet, man? I mean, if you try to move your tanks out here while unsieged, they're just gonna get taken apart by this already sieged tanks of Deathstar. You can't even really leverage your race at this point because there's so many turrets and a number of Goliaths on the map where, like, moving those race out is gonna get nothing done.
Yeah, you don't even fight with the race because they would die immediately by Goliaths and turrets. Oh no. You want to send your SCVs first is how you break this.
Okay, so you send SCVs out front.
Yeah, and they eat up the first tank shots because otherwise this happens. By the time the tanks even get sieged, they're all
Magic
gone.
Bullet's almost entire tank army just gets pulled apart in just a matter of seconds here. So this is the beginning to end, man. I mean, the more beginning of the more end. I mean, there was a beginning and the end to begin with, like when we got this contained first up. At this point, though, Deathstar can just kind of start. I would just say start walking units in here. I mean, that Goliath got in, send her vultures in the back there.
Yeah, realistically, he could just walk his tanks right up the ramp and just eat them alive.
I think this is maybe one of the most intimidating things about TvT for new players, though, is that, like, you don't know when you can attack, right? Because like siege tanks feel so incredibly potent as far as defensively. Like, you feel like even if you've killed a massive army, sometimes you're just not ready to push. You don't feel the confidence that you need to go ahead and push into your opponent's base and finally finish them off here.
Yeah, the problem is they're glass cannons. I mean, they die in 3 shots. You know, and with the upgrades, they can die in 2 shots, which no one has +2 yet, but...
That is actually very important to point out, actually, though. Once you have +2 on your tanks, it's a very, very big deal in TvT because your tanks start dying or start killing things in 2 shots instead of 1. Other tanks in 2 shots instead of 1 or 3. Tongue getting tired,
that is a huge difference when it comes to tank fights. Being able to 2-shot instead of 3 makes all the difference.
So please get your tank attack upgrades at the very least. How does armor fare in this matchup, by the way? Is it very important at all?
No, it really isn't. I mean, it makes your Goliath do what are they make like your tanks and Goliaths can eat Goliath shots better. But as far as tanks go, I mean, they do 85 damage. So, 2 armor isn't going to do anything. There's 85 damage.
So not all that important.
No, it just kind of protects you very lightly from Goliath shots.
Alrighty, man. Well, we have
so a lot of times you'll just see 1 armory and you just get +3 attack. It's really all you need.
And even a couple of race of his own. Deathstar now with all of the advantages here. Now picking off tanks of the race at the high ground here. Tanks being forced to unsiege and move back, but there's no anti-air here for Magic Bullet. Magic Bullet, when are you gonna GG?
As soon as he throws all these tanks in, then they die.
It's about time.
Oh. Hey, he kills a couple tanks, alright.
Let's see. Yeah, I think Magic Bullet should know very quickly that he's going to be out of this. I think the CC is going to go down and he's going to be very quickly. But I respect this fighting spirit, especially from new players who are not used to playing in tournaments. I like to see people stick it out rather than quit too early, because very often you'll see new players get discouraged by a game state that is still a winnable game state, and then they'll just quit. So I like it. Even if it's a little tedious sometimes to watch the cleanup here, I definitely respect the wanting to stay in the game until you really feel like you've lost.
Yeah, I definitely advocate for late GGs rather than early GGs.
Yeah. If you were gonna pick one, right? Like, I'd personally rather have perfectly timed GGs.
Well, of course, but that's just unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, Deathstar ending this game with a 5k bank, very methodically pulling his opponent's chances for winning just apart with a very brutal contain, and honestly, that looked very good, like very fundamentally good TvT to me.
Yeah, even from the beginning, getting good value out of the Marines he had, And he definitely had that contain set up in mind, even moving that first tank over there. I mean, that is what he wanted to do, and he executed it perfectly.
Yep, Sod-Zero in the chat pointing out that it was very good. Normally you see an opponent, you know, just continue to build up that contain, never expanding, never having any forward thinking as far as your tech and things like that go. So, yeah, I'm very impressed by the way that both of our players played that. Hopefully Magic Bullet can have a little bit more of a stable early game, get a couple more SCVs out, and really match that early production of his opponent and get himself into a bit of a more competitive spot here instead of getting contained on 2 bases. But here we go. Game number 2, heading on into it again. It's going to be TVT on Fighting Spirit. Let's go, BossRoss. You ready?
Let's go. Yeah, Fighting Spirit will definitely be maybe a bit more interesting. It's harder to make a contain on this map because you have 2 exits through your third base and through your natural.
Round counts 85. Thank you so much for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Looks like we have a Firefly fan.
A who? Firefly?
Never seen that show?
A TV show?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi class. Oh my god, it's like a space western. It's awesome, dude. You should check it out. Anyways, in the top left-hand corner, spawning as the green Terran, coming off a very hot win. Deathstar.
And the bottom right, we have the brown Terran Magic Bullet.
But for real though, you haven't even heard of Firefly, dude?
No. Is it cable?
What does that mean? No, it's old.
Oh.
Oh, Firefly, come on, bro.
No, I got nothing.
Dude, this is like one of the most classic like geek lore shows. Just Google it, man. Good stuff. Love old school StarCraft. Me too, dude. StarCraft Remastered's dope, man.
2002?
Yeah. Is it really a nerd hipster show? It's not a hipster nerd show. It's like a basic bitch nerd show, right? Like this isn't like
the basic nerd show.
Yeah, this is like your top 3 like I'm a nerd on Instagram, like, you know, like that's the type of show that it is. Like it's not like some underground like no one's ever heard of Firefly before. It's a pretty well-known show, man. It's good stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sat-Zero. It's not like some like underground like I'm a secret nerd, like I'm serious, bro. I'm like level 3 nerd. I haven't bathed in like 4 months. This is like the type of nerd where it's like I'm a girl and I want to be nerdy, so I watched Firefly one time and it makes you feel like a nerd, or like I'm a dude and like this is the first nerdy show I've ever watched and this is amazing. Oh my god, I'm such a nerd now.
I feel like you're describing Doctor Who.
No, Doctor Who's nerdier than Firefly though.
That sounds more like the basic bitch of nerd shows.
No, dude, Doctor Who is like one level deeper than Firefly. Firefly's like the surface level I'm a nerd show.
Not 100% about that.
It's good. Don't get me wrong. You should watch it. But,
I'm not saying it's bad. I've never seen it.
Yeah. I'm just pointing it out. Like that's the level of like notoriety that the show has. So I'm just surprised that you haven't seen it yet. Well, both our players going for fairly similar builds here. It looks like Magic Bullet this time remembering to pull the 2 off instead of just leaving the 1 on there. So we already have an improvement in the efficiency of their build.
And Deathstar has done the same, so it looks like both players, again, going to go with that factory fast expand, which is a fine build. In TVT, sometimes you can get run over by 2 factory, and with the vultures, you have to build a good wall. But, it's not going to be the case here.
Alrighty, and a nice little scout from Deathstar sneaking in here real quick here. Getting a little bit of a late scout in the base, which is nice because it's going to allow you to maybe see a little bit more of what's going on in there. You see if you're getting a double factor against you or something like that here. Oh, shenanigans in the base of Magic Bullet to be scouted.
Or even a 2-port. That's another popular build. I'm not sure if many people go for it at tier 3, but it's very cheesy.
You know what's so funny is the difference between 2-port Wraith versus 2-port Banshee is like you ever played StarCraft 2?
I no. I played
All
like
right,
one game ever.
So Banshees are Wraiths, but they can't shoot air to air. But the compensation that they got was they do like 40 or 50 damage. Like they do they 2-shot workers. So they're
like DTs in the air.
Yeah, it's insane. So they do way insane more damage, but for some reason, like I mean the response like when you have 2-port Wraith going on, it's deadly, right? You still die. But when you tell like a StarCraft 2 player, oh yeah, the Wraiths only do 8 damage, it's like, what are you talking about? 8 damage? You have to have like
that unit must be a total piece of shit.
Yeah, but no, they're fantastic, and it's so funny because like there is this no like direct comparison between the two games. They're so different. It really like the numbers can be skewed almost ridiculously. They still do, they're still good units.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is weird. You start with what, like 14 workers or something like that?
12 workers now.
12? Yeah, you just start with a ton. It's like you gotta build a supply depot right away.
Yeah. It works though. I like Legacy of the Void. It was definitely an improvement over the Heart of the Sword.
Yeah, I just have the OG, the Wings of Liberty. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. You should get it and come play with me sometime. It's fun. I play it casually.
I got a buddy of mine. I was trying to get him to play in the CPL for Brood War. It would have been fun to see him play Tier 3. He has a decent understanding, but he just doesn't have the time for it, I guess. But he's been egging me to play all the co-op missions with him on StarCraft
those are fun.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are really fun.
I don't mind those. I don't think I would want to even attempt 1v1 competitive play, but I don't mind the co-op. I thought it was fine. I had a good time.
Yeah, I actually really like the co-op. It's like a really fun time. They're just gonna screw around and waste time with.
Yeah, play a little bit of simple StarCraft.
It's a lot like a built-in UMS or something.
Yeah, it's cute. I like all the little level ups and stuff, and you have all the different races. And it looks like Deathstar here going for that early contain again. He's already gotten his tanks over here. No tanks on the field yet for Magic Bullet.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal here.
Yeah, I would like to tell Magic Bullet, man, if you're going for this command center early,
is this tank gonna eat a mine?
Oh,
wow.
The vulture saved it.
Very close.
And now he even has scan to clean up the rest of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're gonna go for a fast expand, you want tanks like immediately. When you build lots of vultures, that's for when you don't fast expand and you run your opponent over with just a ton of vultures because you have 400 extra minerals for not building a command center. But with no tanks, this is what's gonna happen to you.
Well,
right?
that is one thing that I really want to point out for newer players. Mines can't be used like this in this matchup. So in other matchups like versus Protoss versus Zerg, they don't have a really great response to mines until they have detection. But Terran, as you can see, gets detection early with scan. But not only that, their units can actually handle mines in small numbers without detection. So if you're going to use some mines in the early game like this, you're going to want to actually run your vultures in and place them right on top of the tanks, so the tanks so they detonate on the tanks.
Mines are also
the way you use them with dragoons.
Mines are also fantastic in the middle of the map. You make a little cluster of mines out there, their army walks over it, and you get some good trades there.
Yeah, especially because often you'll have a Terran player or your opponent move their army with right click, and the right click will make it so that way your opponent's units don't like respond to the mines, and then they take a ton of hits. Oh my gosh, the single
this
tank
is just getting brutalized. Yeah, there's a good scan there.
Oh man, Magic Bullet finding himself in another tough position. I think that he has already been destroyed.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate turn of events. Is siege mode finished? Was it even started? I didn't notice.
I don't believe so. I mean...
Okay, no, he's got it. There it goes.
Okay.
But as soon as this tank fires a shot,
it's gonna get itself killed by its peers, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get... Oh, he repairs it. That's nice.
Okay. It can still die in one shot, though. Alrighty, well, Magic Bullet for now has stabilized, but this is just so bad for it. It doesn't have a natural. You know,
you gotta commit if that's what you're doing. And he loses the tank. He's building another CC. That is interesting. If he was gonna go for the third, he should have just taken this CC that's already built and moved it over there. Which actually I was gonna say earlier. Deathstar is not scouting over there, so realistically he could have pumped a starport and gotten a dropship, moved some tanks onto that third high ground, and he could have set up shop over there.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea, and then on top of that, he could use his dropship to do some vulture aggression in the main base of Deathstar. When you have an opponent who's committing to a contain like this, you very often can use a dropship to get on their side of the map and do a serious amount of damage while their units are being rallied to your natural expansion. So that's a pretty decent response before any kind of turrets get up, like a turret set up on your base. You can no longer move. But in the meantime, Deathstar, man, just getting these contains and going for the expansions immediately. Playing this very smart and just a little bit outclassing Magic Bullet as far as game knowledge and ability, I think.
Yeah, and we got Deathstar expanding behind this, which is beautiful. He actually has 3 ports, too, switching into the BCs. Looks like he doesn't want to wait around 20 minutes to finish this one.
Yeah, I can appreciate this move here. Unfortunately, the science facility placed a little awkwardly, but, you know, at this point, it almost doesn't matter. Sure, it would be nice to get additional mining with his SCVs on the gas a little more efficiently so he could produce those battle cruisers a little bit more quickly, but unfortunately, it's not going to matter too much for Magic Bullet because any amount of BCs coming through here is going to spell the end.
That's actually hilarious. I was looking everywhere. I saw the 3 ports, and I was looking everywhere for a science facility. I never even saw it.
Yeah, it's chilling in the gas, dude.
I mean, I just never would have thought to even look there. I even checked, like, the top left corner where the academy is, and I still didn't see it. Didn't in plain sight.
Hey, Wade Master, I'll let you know about what's going on and what we're casting here in a minute here. But let's get through this game real quick and then we'll talk about that. Alrighty, so I think Deathstar is a little too timid sometimes with his ability or his move outs and things like that. But I think it's maybe better safe than sorry when you know you've got a contain on your opponent. I would really like to see him continue to scout the map in the future here as he goes into the game because, again, there is a massive amount of potential for comebacks in Brood War, especially if you can sneak a base. Can make a huge difference in this game. But we do have SCVs getting ferried over to this third base now. So this is pretty dope here. Shoot the Whooper giving us a host. Man, we've gotten so many hosts so far this stream. We really appreciate it, dude. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, looks
Shoot
like
the
these
Whooper,
3
another cool player.
are
very high level.
are just gonna float over, and that's gonna be almost instantaneous. GG. But yeah, I do agree. You definitely want to scout the map because if dropships come out, like you had the right line of thinking in the previous game to build turrets on the edges to make sure that he couldn't get off of his base. But in this one, that got neglected a bit, so he definitely could have snuck a base by now.
Alrighty, well the BCs are now coming in here, starting to deal this game-ending damage here. Do we even have an armory from? No, so we don't have anything that can shoot up.
Yeah,
you can basically make Marines. Wait, where's the barracks?
Barracks is gone too.
Oh, the barracks died. So you can only make raids.
Which is kind of funny, yeah, because he built a bunker and there's a third, and there's nothing to put in it.
It's unfortunate, man. I mean, but we don't even see turrets going down in the main or anything like that. I'm not sure what Magic Bullet is to deal with this, but there's
didn't have an eBay until just now. It got blown up earlier. But yeah, this is fantasy GG timing at this point. He just now starts a dropship and a wraith, then cancels the dropship and starts cloak. But,
see ya, dropships.
It's all gonna be for naught, man. Wraiths might be good versus air, but they take a long time to kill BCs. They have 3 armor and 500 health. I mean, that is a ton of Wraith shots.
Yeah, and even then, we're producing them one by one. BCs no slouch themselves in the anti-air department, and their PP lasers take out these very fragile Wraiths pretty quickly, man.
Yeah, they
Is one
do
even gonna get
good
out?
amount of damage. No,
Nope.
one doesn't go out. And I just busted out my calculator just to see the calculation. It takes 30 wraith shots to kill a BC.
Man.
30.
It's a
So
whole bunch.
it takes it takes a long time. Same
All
for
right,
Goliath.
guys. Well, good luck, friends. Not long for this world, sweet babies. I don't know. Deathstar just
Sweet
murdering
babies.
everything in sight.
Deathstar with his squad of Death Stars is gonna finish this bad boy up.
Seriously, man. Have you ever seen that mod? There's a StarCraft 2 mod where it makes everything the size that it is in like the lore or whatever. In battle cruisers, just like cover the entire screen. It's actually hilarious.
No, I have not. That's
All right.
classic.
Being a natural CC now gone for Magic Bullet. Now all we
We're
have is
gonna-
a third.
Maynard the SCVs? No, that's not gonna work. He's trying to hang on. He really doesn't want to lose this game, but unfortunately, it's fate. There's not much you can do at this point.
All right.
And now that he saw those SCVs, he scans the third, sees what's going on over here.
Alrighty, GG finally comes out from Magic Bullet. Well played by both of our players in this series. I feel though a little bit like Magic Bullet was a bit outclassed here by Deathstar here.
Yeah, he definitely got put on the back foot, and he certainly is going to have to watch out for these early contains. Those are just going to be tough to deal with as Terran. Once you get contained in the beginning, it's hard to come back from that.
Well, I think T3 is probably the most difficult as far as skill differentiation between players. There's a large range of players in that bracket, because you have everybody from like a 0 MMR, like I've never won a game in my life, versus anybody ever. And then you have players who are starting to push into the tier 2 range, so it can be very difficult for some of our lower level players to compete with some of those higher level ones, but you know, it is part of the preseason tournament, and you're just going to get scouted out and allow your coaches to kind of see what you need as far as coaching in the future.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that we were able to get a third tier in thanks to everybody signing up and everybody showing interest in the league, because that was something the CPL definitely struggled with last season, with just having 2 tiers. The people who are really at the bottom, you know, the 1,000, the 900 MMR players, they just kind of got hung out to dry. That was
Yeah,
fun.
I'm glad that it was split in those 3 tiers. It is making a huge difference, I think. We've seen a lot more even games, a lot more even series with more interesting, I would say more interesting series to watch as well. So overall, I think this season's been a much larger success than the last one as far as that type of thing.